God, you got graphics and everything. You're like one of those really you're like a real ambitious person, I can see. And always failing. You're like people who have like these really ambitious, like you've got loads of amazing things in your presentation. And then but everything just starts falling apart because it's too complicated. It's I can see, I'm getting nervous just looking at the graphic moving. I can imagine all the megabytes trying to get up the tube.
Hey, how's it going? This is Schnitzel show. This time not live because sometimes things don't go as planned live and the audio once more was an issue. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I've been away, had a summer break, went surfing to kind of connect with the ocean again. And yeah, but we're back now. Today it's really good to have Kaddi Lehmann on the show. She is like a German climber, boulderer. She became kind of famous in 2018 when she did the boulder Kryptos in the Swiss Balztal. It's really good to have on the show. She's a super diverse person, climbing, route setting, coaching, and it's good to have on the show. And we start straight away with kind of asking Kaddi how she started and how she got into climbing. So let's go. So let's just talk about your beginnings. I mean, how did you start to climb?
So I mainly started climbing through my brother Christian, and I've been outdoors a lot already as a little kid. We have been like kayaking with my dad. We already were sitting in the boat with like wooden cooking spoons, trying to paddle. So yeah, we've always stayed outside. But then as soon as we tried rock climbing, I was kind of hooked by that. And I still remember the first time my brother took me to Fontainebleau and I was allowed to come with outside because I'm the little sister, and that was just amazing.
So how old were you when your brother took you to Fontainebleau?
I think I was 14 years old.
And can you still remember how it felt like when you kind of entered the forest the first time, or?
It was like a very big playground to me and I didn't want to leave. I remember one time when the guys had to pack me into a crash pad and throw me in the car because I really didn't want to leave that place.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's a magical forest and it's a place where you just feel like you want to jump to the next boulder and you keep finding stuff and it's like it doesn't stop, does it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still my favorite place to climb, and I really like it as I call it the school, the climbing school. It's my favorite climbing school there.
It's interesting, huh? When you kind of, I mean, I have the feeling sometimes when you haven't been there for a while and you come, you just get really humbled because everything seems to be like, you know, you have to really like work on your feet and you have to kind of like, you get an ass kicking, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but I really like that aspect actually. Well, sometimes it can be frustrating, of course, but I always try to see it as a chance to learn something. So yeah, I really like that.
And you seem to be quite strong when you were younger. Did you do competitions as well, or what was the story with that?
Yeah, I did some competition, I think for 3 years, but it was when I was 16 until 19. So, and then I finished school and I I went traveling for a year, mainly for climbing, and then it was obviously that I just stayed a rock climber. So it was much more fun, and the traveling part and meeting people and being outside a lot, I preferred it much.
Really? I mean, how long did you travel?
Yeah. It was 1 year just after school before I started studying. And yeah, I went to Australia with the open return ticket and I just felt free. It was very nice. And also went to New Zealand. On the way back, I went to Thailand, and also I got the chance to visit some friends in Tasmania. That was very nice too.
I got a friend, Paul Pritchard is in Tasmania, the guy who got injured on the totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
Did you climb in Tasmania as well, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I walked to the totem pole twice, but one time it started to rain and the other time the swell down there was too big, so I actually didn't get
So
to
the
try
totem
it.
pole, like just for people who don't know, it's like it's a very thin it's probably the thinnest sea stack, 60 meters high in the world, and it's just. I mean, Paul Pritchard actually said to me like, he was standing on top of it and it's swerving. He says it actually moves the whole thing. Like what?
It is. It's quite impressive.
How long is it? How long does it take to
Yeah.
get to the totem pole by walk, by foot? Is that quite a mission or?
No, like it's an even walk, but it was a quite long
Yeah.
walk. I think. Well, I have to guess. Maybe it was between 2 and
Okay.
3 hours, but maybe it's shorter than that.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
been a long
remember
time ago,
exactly.
isn't it? So, and that year, that was it
Yeah.
a whole year?
Yeah, pretty
and then
much,
after,
yeah. So that was 2007 or something like that. Yeah, long
Yeah.
time ago.
And was the focus on that trip mainly sport climbing or rope climbing?
Everything, pretty much everything. Yeah. I just bought my first car there. It was a dream. It was like living in a VW van, or yeah, just a van, and then just climbing. And yeah, also my brother gave me the best
Uh-huh.
tip ever for going there. Like I didn't plan
Okay.
much. It was just ideas, and then if you travel and you don't have fixed plans on when to be where, you're so flexible, and I prefer that you meet some people there, some locals, and then I ended up going to holidays with Malcolm Mathison. He's the guy that posted a lot of the routes and opened a lot of the routes on
Oh,
Taipan
nice.
Wall, like Serpent. So if you don't plan your travels through, you can just stay flexible and go along with people like that, and that was the best experience ever.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I mean, I've had the same experience with surfing. I mean, I was surfing on the west coast of Australia for like a few months, and it was also like really nice. Just go with the flow. If there's good weather and good surf, just stay, and then you meet a lot more people you wouldn't expect, and it's just a nice thing to meet new people and just feel confident with them. So. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about the outdoor climbing, because I mean, in 2018, your name kind of got a bit bigger on the radar, because you became the second woman to boulder like 8C, and I mean, for you, I mean, we talked about this before. You said to me like you love going outside, and can you I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, boulders are done by people, and then they give it a name. And then they propose a grade, and then there's sometimes cleaning involved. Can you just tell us about the process of bouldering and finding new routes outside? Because that's something I'm really interested in. I mean, how does it work? Do you just like take your map, you go Google Earth, and you just go, where are the blocks? Or how do you do it?
Well, there can be many different approaches. I mean, if I go to a new area, I also do the boulders that are already existing, because there are already some really beautiful lines. But if I go for it's time consuming. If I go for a long time, then I really like to take a hike on a rest day and just go a little bit further, just look around the next corner. And sometimes, yeah, you're right, you can look on Google Maps, depending on the landscape. Sometimes if it's a forest, you don't see much, but in places like South Africa, you can see a lot from the sky. You can even have a good idea of, if you know the area a little bit and you know the rock quality on a certain height level, then you can just kind of track the other height levels and see if it could be similar, if it's on a rock plateau, and you can have a look. And then you just go. I just go for a walk, and then sometimes you find something, sometimes you find nothing. It's surprise.
And then
Or in places, it's interesting, in places like Norway, where the whole boulder is covered in moss, you maybe have an idea of the angle of the boulder, and then you like, okay, is it really worth it? You get pumped of brushing the moss off, basically. It's a lot of work, you get dirty. But yeah, maybe you're lucky and you unravel like a present, and maybe there's hope. So it's a cool surprise.
So that's an interesting point.
That.
So sometimes like the rock texture is a bit featured, like there's stuff growing on it, and you don't know what's going on. So it's really interesting view, isn't it? Like unraveling a present, and sometimes there's a little hole and there's a little pinch. There might be a pocket, and sometimes there's nothing, and you go like, oh shit. Why did I go through all this work?
Yeah, and it also depends on the rock quality, of course, because sometimes things break off, but yeah, you also get an eye for. It's a lot of experience, but I think you get an eye for what looks possible or what not. Or even if I find something and it looks like a beautiful line, but it looks like there's a big move for me or a dino, I have a good friend that's way taller, than I just tell him where I found something that could be nice for him. It's also nice. It's a give and take. Like I have some friends, they like to look for new things, so you share it also. If you find something and if it doesn't suit you or you don't like it, but you think, maybe my friend could like it. So yeah. It's also giving to other people.
It's like giving back something to the community. So you're generating new problems for people to try them, yeah?
Yeah. What's very important though, I think, is you need to look if it's on a private property or something, or if there's already a road to the path, or if it's even allowed to climb there. So you should make sure that's possible, because you don't want to open something and then there's trouble that you can't even park there, for example.
Yeah, totally. So that's something.
Sometimes if it's possible to open something there, then rather just don't do it or keep quiet about it. Even.
I mean, just also find out about it beforehand, maybe, before you start running around in the forest, I mean, it's especially, I think, in Germany is a big thing. There's a lot of private land, there's a lot of people like hunters who rent the property for hunting, or like they look after the property. I mean, that's a big issue, because I mean, obviously the climbing scene is growing, and we have to be aware of others as well. I think in the forest it's not just us, climbing. You're connected with Black Diamond, and I remember there was a cleanup day in Fontainebleau like a few years back.
The rock.
And because I mean, there are big issues, aren't there, with erosion? Because obviously, like, the forest is so fragile, and with putting crash pads on vegetation, you destroy the upper vegetation, and then you all of a sudden just have like sand. And then, I mean, what can you tell me what happened, for example, like in Elephant? What's happening there with the blocks? I mean,
they had to stabilize those blocks, because some that was actually in Bacuvier or in Rempart. They had to stabilize some rocks. So if they wouldn't have done that, the rocks would fall over even. So they had to put some concrete and rocks below.
Yeah, wasn't it?
So if you carry your crash pad around, it's better than dragging it on the ground, for example.
Yeah, it's a very good tip actually, because people are sometimes just so psyched or motivated, they want to run to the next thing, and it's just easier to pull the thing, but better just carrying it. Yeah. But do you think there's more and more people using more chalk nowadays, and take the they don't brush enough? I mean, I don't really know if that's an assumption. Or
I mean, I think there's more and more people climbing that also come from the gym, and they just haven't been climbing outside, so they just do the same practices they see and learn in the gym. They do that outside, so it's good to know that outside it's not a hole that can be changed and washed and put back on the wall. Like outside, it kind of stays forever if it's treated nice. So we should try and work together as climbers and spread the word about cleaning the holes.
Give it some love. Give it some love.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. What's important is also in the gym, not many people clean their climbing shoes, because there's a big mat. There's not really dirt on the mat. But outside you can have sand on your climbing shoes, and that if you step on the rock, it really polishes it. So that's one thing in front.
It's a big one, isn't it? Yeah. Just clean your shoes before you try the problem. Yeah, and make sure the mat is free of excess of sand. Yeah, a lot of sand.
Yeah, and especially in front, the outside layer of the rock seems hard and thick, but it's actually just a few millimeters that are hard. And then below is, especially in the south areas like Elephant and that, it's really just sand below.
It just crumbles.
It's impressive. Yeah. once you go through that outside layer, it's hard to, yeah, the boulder is destroyed
Yeah, fair
basically.
point. Okay, well, let's talk about, I mean, climbing and injuries and how to cope with climbing injuries. I mean, you've had a climbing injury, and you've had a climbing injury also in the past. I mean, tell us what happened just recently with your beloved knee.
Uh, Yeah, so just recently I hurt my knee. It was quite unspectacular, but yeah, the inner ligament of the knee is
Okay.
ruptured. So that just meant, yeah, it's now I think it's 4 weeks ago, and I have to wear this brace for another
Hmm.
2 weeks. And then, yeah, in the first 3 weeks, I took it really easy because I wanted the body to focus on the healing process. And if I keep on training like I usually do or climbing, then the body is too busy with healing also the sore muscles and the training input. So I rested completely, which is quite hard for me. But yeah, now I think I started climbing a little bit again with the brace on, but it's quite limited. But maybe in 2 weeks, I think it will be a lot better.
What kind of things did you do when you knew you weren't allowed to climb at all? I mean, did you, I don't know, started knitting? I mean, or
Well, I definitely don't get bored. So I try to definitely make the best out of it. I just focused a little bit more on working. I mean, now it's so hot anyway, so it was hard in the beginning to accept the situation and push away the goals that you have or ideas, I like to call it, you have in mind for climbing and all that and travel plans. But this year is a bit special anyway, so it's kind of easy. We're all used to that. You can't plan so much in a way. But yeah, I just start to play guitar a little bit, but I can't do much at all. Yeah, I focused on work actually. I started this personal training thing a few years ago already, but now I'm focusing on it a little bit more and yeah, just visiting friends, going for a swim, doing exercises. I just do what I
yeah,
can.
just keep
Yeah,
active,
try and stay.
and not kind of like hiding away
Yeah.
and feeling sorry for yourself.
No, I mean, of course, there's some
Yeah.
frustrating days. Everyone has that now and then, but it doesn't help. So I mean, you have to step back and see it from a big picture. It could be much worse. I'm privileged. Like I have doctors that can help if it would be something bad. And I mean, traveling opens your eyes anyway. There's people that have much bigger problems than a little knee injury. So it's it's not such a big thing. It will heal, and you can trust in your body as well. Your body is amazing. You can heal so much. It takes time. That's the hard thing.
Yeah, the time. I mean, what I really found interesting is you were asking actually openly on Instagram if people have got book suggestions for you. How did you get the idea of asking people like on your Instagram account if they got a book suggestion? I mean, because I thought it was quite interesting because that's also like a way of coping, like stop thinking about climbing all the time, watching climbing videos or whatever, How did it come to mind?
I don't know, just to see something else, to get some input from different people. Every person has something interesting or an interesting idea, and it was quite a cool, quite a few cool answers actually, like movies and books. I think I asked for.
Yeah, super good idea. I mean, just ask friends and be open to new things. Huh?
Yeah.
Why did you call your project aims? Is that something you choose consciously? Like because you said before, like I call them aims, ideas.
I don't call them ideas. I don't know. I like ideas as a word. It's much more playful. It's like I like to stay flexible in life, I think. Also, that's why I do many different things and not focus on one thing so much. Okay, I focus on climbing a lot, yes, but working wise, it's quite broad. I like to stay flexible and call goals ideas because you can kind of change it, you can kind of adapt it, and also yeah, I mean, if you're very set on a goal, it's always linked to pressure and expectation. So that can be a lot of pressure for you. So I like to call it ideas, and also I like to call if you have like a list of boulders or routes you want to try, I call that a playlist as well. I just like those words more.
No, it's a really interesting point, because I think, in general, when we have aims, and we don't succeed with the aims, it feels like a big loss, or it feels like, sort of a negative thing in a way. And if it's an idea, there's less pressure in a way, I think, maybe in the word. Huh? I don't know.
Yeah, I also try to focus on the process more than just the goal, and enjoy the path there. So yeah, I think I try to focus on that, and also try to live in the moment and not too much in the past, and not expect too much of the future.
How is that working? The Buddhist power of now thing.
How is this working? I don't know. I just try to think about it now and then. It doesn't work all the time, but it's.
Otherwise, you would be Eckhart Tolle or somewhere else, like being a spiritual teacher online, going like, "Oh, it's all good," or like Sadhguru. Just keep.
Yeah, of course you have to process your past. You can't just push it away, and also it's nice to focus into the future, for sure. To have goals even.
No, but
otherwise you get nothing done. Like a balance.
No, but obviously it's interesting how much time we do sometimes use for worrying about things in the future, or feeling like really worried, aren't we sometimes? And I think with the climbing, and this is just a personal perspective, I had a talk with a friend yesterday, and he said like, well, I kind of said to him like, it's interesting, like the climbing thing nowadays is like, for me, people start in the gym, they progress really fast, they get quite good, and then it's all about just climbing hard, and it's there's less of a versatile, of a wider perspective on climbing, which I think sometimes it's really sad in a way, because it's just about like climbing really hard, or like climbing on your limit, and then when it doesn't work out, you become really upset about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is something you probably also have to work on the coaching, because obviously like people are sometimes impatient, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, your goals, it's good if they're realistic.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this is where you come in with the coaching then. Climb Your Best, that's your kind of little coaching venture. Let's talk about this. I mean, you when did you start this with Climb Your Best, with the idea?
Well, the idea that I mean, I've been coaching since quite a long time, maybe 5 or 6 years already. I've had I wrote training plans and gave trainings and technique courses for some athletes, mainly for some competition climbers that also do the Olympia combined format. So yeah, I just noticed that I enjoyed it much more than giving climbing courses just to beginners, because I just like the teaching people that are a little bit advanced more. I also studied sports science and sport therapy, so I have some background there and can give some input on training plans.
Yes.
But I realized that I like to work with smaller groups, like 1, 2, or 3 people. I prefer that to bigger groups. So really focus on one person and on one person's goals. And it can be the climbing technique, or it can be nutrition for climbing even, or it's quite broad. Like I try to see it as a whole picture. It's like you can imagine it like going to your physiotherapist with a problem or a goal. You first look, where is that person at? Like I have to get to know the person, of course, like since when are you climbing? What level? What's your goal? What do you work? How much time do you even have in a week? Do you have holidays in summer and you want to go to Seus and climb 2 certain routes there? Or do you just the more precise you can name your goal, the better, because I think that's the hardest anyway about training. What do you actually want? And then you can make a plan. You can adapt it to your lifestyle, to your time. Yeah, I find that quite interesting.
It's a really interesting perspective, because obviously, like you're right, you know, people have for example, have families, you know, they have responsibilities as well apart from climbing, and they need to be quite structured. They need to make sure that some things don't get neglected, you know, just because of the, you know, otherwise you just have a broken marriage and you divorce because you end up just going climbing in the extreme, you know. Or you're lucky enough like people like Clement Betchan, who's actually in Frankenjura now with his family, and Anya is super supportive, you know. She was also a climber, and but they have a toddler, you know, so it's always like, I mean, how do we get somebody to belay, you know, when one person looks after the little one?
In that case, it's a lot more difficult in that case. Time management, it's tricky.
I mean, so you would actually first of all kind of map out what's going on with the people. I mean, in the personal life as well, time wise.
It's also very interesting to see the psychological aspect of a person, like how some people treat their body a little bit like machines and expect a lot, and some people just don't rest enough, for example. Or there's then on the other side people that they don't have a lot of self-esteem maybe, and are shy and think they can't do something that big or that far beyond like their limit or something. So it can be so interesting to me to work with people that are different like that.
What would you really work on, you know, if a person was like just kind of breaking in, or like even not starting to try something?
Or that I really try to look at that point like individually, and I'd first try to get to know that person a bit better. And also like first we first are like doing a phone call to get to know each other a little bit, and like talk about to think about goals even, and maybe write down like a week plan, so to see how much time they have, and then talk about goals. And already at the way a person talks about goals, you can kind of see is someone certain to reach those goals, or maybe a little bit shy, and then I try to give some input of how to manage the time and help to reach those goals. It's very general now, but it really depends
but
on
I mean,
the
you already
person.
mentioned like two things, you know, like establishing a good relationship with somebody, you know, like by building up some trust, that there's a good basis, you know, that they don't feel like they cannot tell you some things, you know, because I feel like, you know, oh, you're so strong, I've seen you in the media, or you're an ambassador, you know. So that's a really good start, I think. And then the other one is...
No, we are on the same level. Like it's all the same. That has nothing to do with the goal of that person. So I try to be on the same the same level.
And then obviously, sorry?
Because it's the same problems. It doesn't matter how hard you climb. It's always the same problem. You have a goal, and maybe you're here and you want to reach it, and there's a few things you can work on, and it's sometimes tricky to see what you should work on. Is it the fear of falling, or is it that bit more finger power, or it can be so different things to see or to look into. So, and already that little input to look at different facets of climbing helps.
Really interesting point, because I think sometimes people don't understand that it's the same thing for everybody, you know, like it doesn't matter if you're pushing over a certain threshold, you know, it's going to be this, you know, people are the same, you know, they're going to have the same emotions, or not the same, but they will also have doubts, you know, they will be not in a good state, you know. I think sometimes people, from my perspective, feel like, you know, they have to always, like, I mean, you know, when I don't feel well, when I go climbing, you know, I feel like my body's already tired because I've done something. I take my expectations down, you know. And one of the biggest lessons, you know, I've had from a good friend was like, just climb. Don't expect anything. You just try to give it your best, but don't think like you clip the top chain or you finish the boulder project or idea. It's just try it and that's it. And it's sometimes interesting because you feel really tired, but then you take away the expectation side, which puts stress already on you, and then you just
sometimes better.
Yeah.
It's same for me. It's that mindset really helps me of trying to be in the moment. Like I have to want something, but I can't expect it. Like if you try too hard with so much energy, then you lose too much power already in the beginning, maybe. So
I've got kids in the background. We got visitors in the garden.
what's going on?
It's a baby, another one. They seem to pop up everywhere. Yeah, I mean, have you got climbs you done in the past where you said like I didn't really think I'm going to climb it, or I didn't send it on that try, and you didn't have any expectations? Do you remember those moments? Any routes in the past, or like boulder problems?
Yeah, quite a few, I think. And that's also, you learn from experience that those different mindsets, you learn what worked. It's not always the same recipe, but usually those those mindsets, for me that works quite well. Sometimes it helps me to, if I put too much pressure or expectation on myself, it helps me to just walk away for like 10 minutes, think and do something completely different. Maybe look for another new boulder around the corner somewhere, if there's one, maybe, and then come back and then start kind of refresh.
Okay, so a short disconnect to get away from the emotion, or to get away from the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it.
You kind of come with new motivation.
Which you don't seem to be lacking.
No.
So you're like an energy bulb going zzz all the time, or what?
I pretty much could climb all the time. If I could,
I would. If my fingers would be okay.
It's a little bit like that, yeah. I like it a lot.
I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it? If you like something, you will stick with it, and you will just not walk away, I suppose, And sometimes, that's the greatest motivation, to have this impulse to do something, and just to have the urge, to climb, and then you probably take sacrifices for granted because you have this bigger thing, ahead or on top of you, and you feel like, yeah, that's okay. I'm not going to drink 2 beers tonight. I'm just going to have a cup of tea. Maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe
yeah, maybe 3 beers and still try hard, and and sometimes it works too, but we shouldn't. Got mosquitoes coming out now slowly, but it's okay. And how can people find you with Climb Your Best? Do you have a website? How do people find you if they want to get coaching with you done?
I don't have a website yet, but usually you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think that's the easy.
That's cool. So I mean, obviously, like you probably you can still coach at the present, even with that knee. Huh? Just use a laser pointer and go like tsi.
Yeah, or stick.
A bamboo stick, like really Japanese kind of like martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. No, it also works online. It depends, of course, on the goals and everything, but it can be quite helpful already.
Yeah, so you're also doing that. Like, obviously, like many people also online, have a Skype call or like a Zoom and...
Yeah, I mean, climbing technique, I really prefer to do that from person to person directly, or I prefer that anyway, but to discuss goals or training plan, that works well online, or just doing a phone call.
So Kaddi, I mean, I'm running out of questions, and last question is, I mean, obviously, like, you're trying to heal, you're trying to get better. You got any ideas apart from working on your business and getting that knee in shape? What else is planned? You got any plans?
I try to see what I can do in summer. I wanted to go to South Africa, but it's looking not so good. Corona hit the country quite hard at the moment, but I'll see. I don't know. I probably do something here in Europe, higher up, where temperature is a bit colder. And I don't know, like I'm working in a climbing gym part-time job wise, and besides that, I've always been freelancing many different things. I also got a teaching job for physiotherapy students, so I have to prepare that. Like I'm not really getting bored, but a lot of the work is actually still not happening. Like I work on events, or I do route setting, boulder setting for competitions, and all of that isn't really happening that much yet. So I have a bit more time. I have time to heal.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this, the Rockstars event as well in September is cancelled, isn't it?
Yeah, that has been cancelled already
Yeah.
2 months
Okay,
ago,
wow.
I think. No. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite full on, isn't
Yeah.
it? What's happening in South Africa, because apparently, like the cases are quite high.
Yeah, and also they already had a lockdown, and I think it was almost a bit too early. Now the lockdown is a bit, they're easing it, and at the same time now only the numbers are rising. And what's difficult there, you don't have like financial support from the state, so there's so many people living from hand to mouth. Like they just, I don't know how they survive. It's a miracle.
It's like you said, sometimes it's a perspective, isn't it? I mean, they're really struggling, especially if they don't live in social welfare states and the economy is not that good. So, good luck, anyways, to those people, and I wish them well. Hey, listen, I'm good. You got any questions for me?
How hot is it really at the
How
moment?
hot?
Looks pretty.
It's getting better because the sun is going down, but obviously, like, I was hoping that this shade is we have a huge shed here on the outside, and this shade didn't happen. So it's okay actually, but I'm probably gonna have a sunburn afterwards after we finish the show, but that's okay. But it is quite hot.
And is it possible to climb in Frankenjura?
Yeah, it's possible.
At the moment?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
good. I mean, obviously, like, I don't know how much of a friction addict you are, but it's good. I mean, obviously the good thing about Franken is that we always have like forests, and the leaves are out, and I mean, it's been busier, that's been a bit of an issue, with also landowners, and some cracks have been definitely overrun by people. But it's been easing off a little bit, like a month ago it was super busy, I thought, and now it's like Bavarian summer holidays and it's a little bit more. The campsites obviously can't take as many people because of the corona restrictions, so that's a bit of a tricky thing if people really think about coming, and get a campsite. If they have, kids and stuff, they're really booked out at the moment. So, but climbing wise, it's possible for sure. And
yeah, sure, that's cool.
All right, listen. Yeah, my internet connection was a bit funny at the moment. Thank you so much for the talk. Stay in the line. We have a quick reflection afterwards. And Kaddi Lehmann, thank you. All the best. Take it easy.
Thanks, pleasure.
All right, let's get Kaddi out. Everybody, thank you so much. We're going to be probably coming up with another show in the next week or two. I'm still trying to get some people. I have some people, but they're obviously like busier than the lockdown times because they want to climb, they want to be outside, and they have to also make money, So take it easy. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. This was Schnitzel live, all the way from the sweaty old garden here. Now we're kicking in. Schnitzel Live, proudly presented to you by the beer who cannot be named.